to fade, but we have 15 seconds. And there's the music back, but only for a few seconds. So good afternoon and welcome to GoFor Lunch number 43 on this beautiful day here in southern Arizona. Thank you all for attending here. And there's Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Glad to see you here today. And we are going to talk about YouTube tips today. But first, we have some public service announcements. So, a friend of mine and client, her sister called me a couple days ago, and her sister was in the hospital, had been for several weeks, and there were some bills that needed to be paid, but all she had with her was her iPhone. And so the sister was in a different state, and they had a problem because although she uses 1Password, she did not have 1Password on her iPhone. So she could not get into 1Password to find her passwords, to log into her banking accounts, and cause those bills to be paid. So the moral to that part of the story is you have a password manager, number one. Number two, have that information available to a trusted friend or relative. And number three, have it on all of your devices, your Mac, your iPhone, and your iPad. So another thing that would have helped in this case was to have the actual apps on your iPhone. So let's say her American Express bill was overdue or about to be due. Had she had the American Express app on her iPhone, then she could have paid it from her iPhone, but she didn't have it there. So this is, it's nothing we want to talk about, but sometimes we do get incapacitated, and we need to have a way to let the people that we trust around us access our digital information that's password protected and help us out. Because if you don't, it's a real mess. And you've probably heard stories about people that couldn't get into photographs, for example, because nobody knew the passwords. So you can use a password manager. Many of you use a bound handwritten journal. You can also buy a formatted bound booklet that has fields in it, so you can put in the name of the website, your username, your password, and any notes that you may want to put there. So that's available on Amazon and other places. And if you need help with that, then I would be more than happy to help you, as I have helped many others get that set up. And Susan has a good point here. And my friend did have some things on autopay, but not everything was on autopay. So that's another good way to handle that. And the Phil and Phyllis show are here. Welcome. Glad to see you guys. So, another public service announcement. I've had several clients call, both yesterday and today. They can't get their email to work. Well, funny coincidence, they were all using Gmail. And Gmail is having issues. So what do you do when things don't work? What are some steps you could take? We've talked about this before. But one step is that you could go to a website which is called Down Detector, DOWNDETECTOR.com. And then you would search up here with a little magnifying glass for Gmail. Well, we've already got Gmail here. So the first thing you need to do is just ignore this first message where it says, there are no problems at Gmail. Well, au contraire. As we can see from this graph, there are problems with Gmail. Now, the reason the graph goes down here is because nobody was complaining in the early morning hours. But as people woke up and started using their mail, so this is as 11:48, 70 people complained. So there's still problems with Gmail. And here you can see, last time I checked this a few minutes ago, this was 38%. Now it's 40%. So people are having trouble just logging in. And if we go down here a little further, scrolling down, here's a person 9 hours ago said, now see, this is not required. They don't have to make a comment. So this is just the people that do make comments. That was very helpful to us as fellow users. So this is crowdsourced information. And if you don't complain, it doesn't show up here. So he's got a spacing problem. My client that called in yesterday, the text on the Gmail web site was all garbled, couldn't be read. The workaround that we figured out for her was to use Apple Mail, and it worked on Apple Mail. So that was a different path to the Gmail server. So if you're having problems with anything, so here I'm going to click on the outage history on downdetector.com just to illustrate all the different websites that they cover. Most of these you have never heard of, neither have I. But you'll see a few in there that you may have heard of, like the IRS, for example, was having some difficulties. Let's see, Xbox, we've heard of Xbox, AT&T, let's see, Verizon, some utility companies, the ever-famous TikTok, and so forth. So that is something that you can check to see if the problem is yours or it's theirs, and if it's theirs, in this case, Gmail, about all you can do is wait till tomorrow. That will be the end of my singing for this episode. So you have to wait for them to fix it. So let me know if you have any questions about that. Let me check and see if you have any questions. And let's see. Can't email. So here are some great questions. Let's look at Bob's question. Bob says, how do you tell your email provider that there's a problem? So as you may know, it's very difficult, if not pretty close to impossible, to call and talk to a human being at Google. So the thing that I usually do when I can't email is I will go in and replace that account in Apple Mail. In other words, delete the account and re-enter all the account information, your username and password, and many times that will fix it. So hopefully I have, I do recommend using Down Detector as kind of a first step to make sure that the problem is maybe somebody else's problem that you can't really fix. You just have to wait them out. So good. And welcome, Judy. Glad to see you here. So let's get on with our program. What do you say? So little brighter news. As you may know, last Sunday night was the annual Golden Globes Awards, and a program called Ted Lasso, which is on Apple TV Plus, Apple's streaming service, similar to other streaming services you may have heard of, like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and there are more every day, seems like. So the actor that plays Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis, got the Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical Series at the Golden Globes. So this brings up a point that if you have purchased an Apple device, not including Apple Watches, in the last year, since November at least, maybe even a little before that, you are entitled to a 1-year free subscription to Apple TV Plus. In the description below this video on YouTube is the link to Apple to show you how to do that. So, and if that doesn't work, then you can call Apple Care and have them walk you through it. So Phil and Phyllis have watched Ted Lasso and they loved it. Everybody loves it. It's a nice, uplifting show in these troubled times. And Susan made a good remark here. Down Detector covers Cox and Comcast and any of your internet service providers. So let's get on with the show. YouTube tips. Now, what brought this up was the fact that every GoFor Lunch episode is archived on our YouTube channel. So the links to the most recent broadcasts are listed in the bottom portion of the GoFor Gazette, which is supposed to arrive in your email box every Monday morning at 7 o'clock, this week being an exception. So let's say that you remembered some topic that you heard on a GoFor Lunch episode, and you'd like to go back and review it. What do? Well, you go, we're going to just talk about this and then we'll demonstrate it here in just a second. What you do is you find GoFor Technology. You can do that by clicking on the link in the newsletter, GoFor Gazette, or you can just go to YouTube and type in GoFor Technology, and then the upper right portion of the window you'll see a magnifying glass icon, and in this case we're going to type a keyword which is video. So we're going to go back to Safari, and we'll just go up here to the search bar in Safari, and we'll type a Y. So if you use YouTube very much, then usually just a Y is all that you need to get YouTube to come up. So we're going to hit return, and there we are in YouTube. So up here in now, so there's a separate search box for YouTube. So this is your internet search box, but then you have a second search box down here lower where you would type in GoFor Technology like that, and then again you would hit return, and there are various channels. So of course our search came up with the actual GoFor Technology channel, which you can know by the funny looking guy in the red shirt, but it also brought up some recent GoFor Lunch episodes, including the one that we are on live right now. So we would click on the channel. So now once you're inside the channel, the search is only inside the channel. In other words, you're not searching anywhere else but inside the GoFor Technology channel. So here's that little magnifying glass that I mentioned. So we click on that, and our search term in this case is we want to search for video. So we put in video and hit return, or click on the little arrow there on the right. And lo and behold, we come up with GoFor Lunch #1, which amazingly was 8 months ago. Can you believe it? And we talked about video conferencing tips. So those are ways to improve your Zoom meeting appearance. And that information, by the way, is valid to this day. So it would be a good idea to maybe review that, see if you can up your game and look better on those calls on those mini Zoom meetings that we are all involved in. So let's see if we have any questions about that. Okay. And we have another comment here from Kurt, who also loved Ted Lasso. So that's the way that you can go back, take advantage of the many archive programs that we are producing here each week so that you can make your technology work for you. So if you have any questions about YouTube, this would be a good time to ask them. And while we're waiting for those questions to pop up, let me remind you that it would be great if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and share that information with your friends, families, and neighbors so that more people can be helped. Also, we are going out and helping you in person because have mask will travel. We can also do some things by screen sharing, but not everything. So we have continually through this whole situation been helping people in person with all the safety precautions in place. So Susan asks, it is searching for text. It right now, I don't believe there's any way to search for audio on YouTube. I mean, unless they've labeled the audio with a keyword that that you could search on, but the search is strictly on text. So I hope this has been helpful. Hope this will expand your horizons. Of course, that will work on any YouTube channel, not just mine. And so that's something. And remember that YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world, eclipsed only by Google search, which of course Google does own YouTube. So that kind of all makes sense. So if you have any questions after we finish here, then you can give me a call or you can email me, and those contacts are going to come up on a screen right now. So yes, I believe I tried, Susan, that's a great question. It seems to be only in the main subject. I did a little test in preparation for this and put a weird word that was misspelled in the description, and it did not come up in my search. So that's a very good question. So thanks again for joining us, and please contact me if you have any questions. We will see you next Tuesday at noon for GoFor Lunch.